The silent thunder. The morning started like any other Tuesday across the Sol system. Coffee brewing on Mars colonies, children playing in Luna City's parks, and miners heading to work in the asteroid belt. Nobody expected that by sunset, everything would change forever. Admiral Sarah Chen was reviewing supply reports in her office on Titan Station when the first emergency signal came through. The communication was brief, desperate, and then cut to static. Sarah's colony under attack. Unknown vessels. Requesting immediate. Nothing more. Sarah's coffee mug hit the floor as she rushed to the command center. The massive holographic display showed the outer system, where Ceres should have been a bright blue dot. Instead, there was only empty space and expanding debris. "Get me a full sensor sweep of the system," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the ice forming in her stomach. "And wake up every ship we have." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, but Sarah could see the fear in their eyes. Sarah's colony had housed over 2 million people. Mining families, researchers, children born in the low gravity who had never seen Earth's sky. All gone in minutes. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures moving through the outer belt. Configuration unknown. They're not broadcasting any identification." Sarah studied the readings. Whatever these ships were, they were huge, bigger than anything humanity had ever built, and they were moving with purpose, heading directly toward the inner system. "Send an immediate alert to Earth Command," Sarah said. "Code Black. Full system evacuation protocols." As the minutes passed, 2 more colonies went silent. Titan Research Station, where they were developing new energy systems. Europa Base, home to the galaxy's finest hydroponics farms. Each time, the same pattern, a brief distress call, then nothing. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. She had spent 30 years in space, first as an engineer building the colonies, then as their protector. She had seen pirates, equipment failures, and natural disasters. But this was different. This was systematic. This was war. "Admiral," Torres called again, his voice tight. "We're receiving a transmission. It's from the attackers." The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature that made Sarah's blood run cold. Tall and angular, with skin like polished metal and eyes that glowed with cold fire. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding stone. "Humans of the Sol system," the creature said. "I am Commander Kethvar of the Galactic Empire. Your species has been observed for some time. You have expanded beyond your birth world, claimed resources, and begun to spread your influence. This cannot be tolerated." Sarah felt the bridge go silent around her. This was first contact, and it was a death sentence. "Your colonies have been removed as a demonstration of our power," Kethvar continued. "You will now surrender your system and submit to Kithurian rule. You have 12 of your Earth hours to transmit your capitulation. If you refuse, your species will be eliminated." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. 12 hours, Sarah whispered. Then, louder, "Get me a secure channel to Earth. Priority Alpha." The connection took several minutes to establish. When it did, Sarah found herself looking at General Thomas Nakamura, Earth's military operations director. His face was grim, but his eyes held something that surprised her. Not fear, but calculation. "Sarah," he said, "I assume you've seen the demands. Tom, they killed millions of people without warning. This isn't a negotiation. It's an extermination." "I know," Nakamura said quietly, "but they made one mistake. They gave us 12 hours. Sarah frowned. 12 hours to do what? We don't have the ships to fight them. Our entire defense fleet wouldn't last 5 minutes against what I'm seeing on sensors." "That's what they think," Nakamura said. "Sarah, I need you to access classified files. Authorization Lazarus 77 Delta." Sarah's fingers flew over her console. The files that appeared made her eyes widen. "Tom, what am I looking at?" "The Lazarus Protocol," he said. For the past 15 years, we've been building a deep space defense network. Ships hidden in the outer dark, beyond Pluto's orbit, powered down, invisible, waiting. The specifications scrolled past Sarah's eyes. Dozens of ships, each one equipped with technology she had never seen before. Quantum disruption weapons, dark matter engines, stealth systems that could hide a ship in plain sight. The public budget only showed research and development, Nakamura explained. But the real work was happening in the shadows. Dr. Elena Vasquez has been leading a team of the galaxy's brightest minds. They've been preparing for this day. Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. You knew this was coming. We knew something was coming, Nakamura said. The universe is too big, too old for us to be alone. And history taught us that first contact is rarely peaceful. So we prepared. The Lazarus ships have been waiting in the dark for over a decade. How many ships are we talking about? 47 vessels, Nakamura said, each one more advanced than anything the Cytherians have seen. They think they're hunting sheep, Sarah. They're about to learn they're hunting wolves. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Sarah coordinated with Earth Command while secretly transmitting activation codes to the Lazarus fleet. To anyone watching, it looked like humanity was panicking, desperately trying to evacuate civilians and gather what pathetic defenses they could. But in the dark between stars, something else was happening. Ships that had been sleeping for years began to wake up. Their dark matter engines hummed to life, their quantum processors came online, and their weapons systems charged with power that could crack planets. Captain Marcus Rivera felt his ship, the Prometheus, come alive around him. He had been waiting in the dark for 8 years, maintaining the vessel, training with his crew, preparing for a war that might never come. Now it was here. All stations report ready, Captain, said his first officer, Commander Park. The fleet is online and awaiting orders. Marcus looked at the tactical display. The Cytherian fleet was massive, over 200 ships, each one a kilometer long, bristling with weapons. They had positioned themselves in a perfect formation to attack Earth, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had no idea that humanity's real fleet was behind them, hidden in the shadow of the outer planets. Signal from Earth Command, Park reported. Admiral Chen sends her regards and says to remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for the future of human space. Marcus nodded. He had been born in the asteroid belt, had spent his childhood watching Earth rise and set through the viewport of his family's mining ship. He had seen humanity spread across the system, building homes among the stars, creating something beautiful and peaceful. The Cytherians had destroyed that peace. Now they would learn what happened when humanity stopped being peaceful. All ships, Marcus transmitted across the fleet. This is Prometheus Actual. The Lazarus Protocol is now active. We are weapons-free. Show them what humanity builds in the dark. The response came back from 46 other ships, their captains ready for battle. They had trained for this moment, planned for it, dreamed of it in the long quiet years between the stars. On Titan Station, Sarah watched the tactical display as the Cytherian fleet moved toward Earth. They were taking their time, confident in their power, savoring what they thought would be an easy victory. Admiral, Torres said, I'm detecting some unusual energy signatures near Pluto. Could be sensor ghosts, but keep monitoring, Sarah said. She knew what Torres was seeing, the first hints that the Lazarus fleet was moving. Soon, very soon, the Cytherians would learn that humanity's greatest strength was not in the light, but in the shadows. The countdown continued. 11 hours, 10 hours, 9. Commander Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the humans scurry like insects below. Their pathetic little ships were fleeing in all directions, their communications full of panic and desperation. It was almost boring. Commander, his tactical officer reported, the humans are attempting to evacuate their population centers. Should we stop them? Let them run, Kethvar said dismissively. "It will make the final hunt more interesting. Besides, I want them to understand their helplessness before the end." He had commanded the Kitherian fleet for over a century, had conquered dozens of worlds, had seen entire civilizations kneel before the Empire's might. Humans would be no different. They were young, soft, unprepared for the realities of galactic warfare. But as the hours passed, something began to trouble him. The human defense fleet was pitiful. Barely 100 ships, most of them converted cargo vessels with basic weapons. It was almost insulting. Where was their real military? Where were their weapons of mass destruction? "Tactical," he called. "Run a deep scan of the system. I want to know where they're hiding their real forces." The scan took an hour to complete. When it finished, Kethvar's officer looked confused. "Sir, this appears to be their entire fleet. They have no hidden reserves, no secret weapons. They're exactly as weak as they appear." Kethvar felt a flicker of disappointment. He had hoped for more of a challenge. "Very well. Prepare the fleet for final assault. When their time limit expires, we will demonstrate the price of defiance." He had no idea that in the darkness beyond Pluto, 47 ships were moving like silent predators, closing in on his fleet with weapons that could shatter worlds. The final hour began to count down. Humanity held its breath, waiting for the moment when the shadows would finally strike back. The silent thunder strikes. The clock struck 0. Commander Kethvar stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the chronometer reach the end of humanity's deadline. Around him, his officers waited for orders, their hands hovering over weapon controls. The human fleet hung in space before them like scattered leaves, pathetic and defenseless. "Time has expired," Kethvar announced. "Begin the cleansing of Sol's system. Start with their military vessels, then move to the planetary installations. Leave their homeworld for last. I want them to watch everything burn." The Kitherian fleet began to move forward, their massive ships glowing with charging weapons. Energy that could crack moons began to build in their main cannons. It would be over in minutes. But then something impossible happened. The stars behind the Kitherian fleet began to move. "What?" Kethvar started, then stopped as his tactical officer's voice cut through the bridge. "Commander, multiple contacts emerging from stealth. Unknown configuration. They're everywhere." The main display lit up with new contacts. Dozens of them, appearing from the darkness like ghosts becoming real. Ships unlike anything in the Kitherian database, sleek and angular, their hulls absorbing light like black holes. Captain Marcus Rivera watched the Kitherian fleet from the bridge of Prometheus. His ship had been drifting silent and invisible just outside their sensor range for the past hour, along with the rest of the Lazarus fleet. Now it was time to stop hiding. "All ships," Marcus transmitted, "execute thunder strike formation. Remember, we end this fast and clean. Show them what human engineering can do." The Lazarus ships moved with precision that shocked the Kitherians. They didn't charge forward like traditional warships. Instead, they flowed around the enemy fleet like water, taking positions that maximized their advantage while minimizing their exposure. Dr. Elena Vasquez monitored the battle from her station deep within Luna Base. For 15 years, she had worked on the Lazarus Project, developing weapons and systems that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Now she would see if her theories held true in combat. "Quantum disruption weapons are online across the fleet," she reported to Earth Command. "Dark matter engines are performing within optimal parameters. Stealth systems are holding." The first shots of the real battle came from the Prometheus. Marcus had selected his target carefully, the Kitherian flagship, the symbol of their arrogance. The quantum disruption beam lanced out, invisible to the naked eye, but devastating in its effect. The beam struck the flagship's shields and did something no conventional weapon could do. Instead of trying to overpower the barrier, it disrupted the quantum structure that held the shield together. The defensive field collapsed instantly, leaving the massive ship naked and vulnerable. "Impossible," Kethvar roared. No weapon can penetrate Catherian shields. His tactical officer's voice was high with panic. Sir, their weapon isn't trying to break through our shields. It's making our shields forget how to exist. The second shot from Prometheus struck the flagship's hull. The quantum disruption field spread across the ship's armor like a virus, causing the molecular bonds to weaken and fail. Sections of the mighty vessel began to collapse under their own weight. But Marcus wasn't done. Across the fleet, other Lazarus ships were demonstrating their own advanced capabilities. The Icarus unleashed a swarm of smart missiles that could phase through solid matter, striking at the enemy ship's reactor cores. The Athena fired gravitational pulse weapons that crushed enemy vessels like tin cans. The Cytherian fleet, which had seemed invincible just minutes before, began to die. Admiral Sarah Chen watched the battle from Titan Station, her heart pounding with a mixture of relief and awe. The Lazarus ships moved through the enemy formation like dancers, their every movement coordinated and precise. Each shot was calculated, each maneuver planned. Tom, she called to General Nakamura on Earth. Your people are artists. I've never seen anything like this. It's not just the technology, Sarah, Nakamura replied. It's the crews. These people have been training for this fight their entire careers. They know their ships like musicians know their instruments. The battle was becoming a rout. The Cytherian ships were powerful, but they had been designed to fight conventional enemies. They had no defense against weapons that operated on quantum principles, no counter for stealth systems that bent light around the ships, no answer for engines that could manipulate dark matter itself. Commander Kethvar found himself in a situation he had never experienced before losing. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Cytherian Empire, was being systematically destroyed by ships that should not exist. All vessels, execute emergency jump, he commanded. Retreat to the outer rim. But even retreat was denied to them. The Lazarus ships had anticipated this, had positioned themselves to cut off escape routes. The human captains had studied every battle the Cytherians had ever fought, had learned their tactics, their weaknesses. Captain Rivera opened a communication channel to the Cytherian flagship. His voice was calm, professional, and utterly implacable. Commander Kethvar, he said, this is Captain Marcus Rivera of the Earth Defense Fleet. You came to our system without warning. You murdered millions of our people. You demanded our surrender. Now you will learn why that was a mistake. You cannot do this. Kethvar rage. The Cytherian Empire spans 1,000 worlds. You are just one system, one insignificant species. Yes, Marcus agreed. We are one species. But we are the species that builds cities among the stars. We are the species that turns ice into gardens and rock into homes. We are the species that takes the impossible and makes it routine. And we are the species that you chose to threaten. Another quantum disruption beam lanced out, striking the flagship's engines. The massive ship began to drift, powerless and defenseless. Your fleet is finished, Marcus continued. Your warriors are defeated, but I'm going to let you live, Commander. I'm going to let you go home. Do you know why? Kethvar said nothing, his pride warring with his growing fear. Because I want you to tell your empire what happened here, Marcus said. I want you to tell them that humanity is not prey. We are not victims. We are gardeners who have learned to forge swords. We are builders who have learned to break worlds. And if anyone else comes to our system with thoughts of conquest, they will face the same fate as your fleet. The battle was over in less than an hour. Of the 200 ships that had come to conquer humanity, only a handful limped away into the darkness. The rest were debris, scattered across the outer system like broken promises. Dr. Vasquez smiled as she reviewed the combat data. Her weapons had performed flawlessly. Her systems had exceeded all expectations. But more than that, the crews had shown what humans could do when they combined intelligence with determination. The quantum disruption technology is stable, she reported. The dark matter engines are already providing power to the colony ships. We can begin expansion to the nearest star systems within the year. Admiral Chen felt a weight lift from her shoulders as the last Cytherian ship vanished into hyperspace. The colonies were gone, the people were mourned, but humanity had survived. More than survived. They had won. "Tom," she called to General Nakamura. "What's our next move?" "We rebuild," he said, "but not just what we lost. We build bigger, stronger, better. The galaxy knows about us now. They know we're here, and they know we can defend ourselves. It's time to stop hiding among our own stars." Captain Rivera stood on the bridge of Prometheus, looking out at the wreckage of the enemy fleet. His crew was cheering, celebrating their victory, but he felt only a quiet satisfaction. They had done what needed to be done. "Sir," Commander Park said, "orders from Earth Command. We're to begin long-range patrols of the outer system. They want to make sure no one else tries to surprise us." "Good," Marcus said. "And Park, have Dr. Vasquez begin work on the next generation of ships. Something tells me this won't be the last time we need to remind the galaxy that humans don't make easy prey." In the days that followed, the story of the Battle of Sol spread across the known galaxy. The Cytherian Empire, humbled and defeated, spoke in whispers of the species that had turned shadow into sword. Other civilizations took note, marking humanity's territory as a place to approach with caution and respect. But on Earth, in the colonies, in the ships that sailed between stars, humans simply went back to what they did best. They built, they explored, they dreamed. They reached for the impossible and made it real. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate a species that can turn gardeners into warriors and still remember how to tend the flowers. The Empire had struck first, but Earth's answer had ended everything. Not just the battle, not just the war, but the illusion that humanity was weak. That illusion was now scattered debris in the cold vacuum of space, a reminder that the species that had learned to make flowers bloom in the desert could also make stars fall silent. The quiet builders had shown their teeth, and the galaxy would remember.